Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see from the title, I'm gonna dive into the reasons behind me opting to pick up a vegan lifestyle. So I will try to keep this sweet and simple, and we'll go ahead and get right into it. So, we're here. The story, the time. I know a lot of you are wondering, why in the world is that girl vegan? What is going on? So yeah, let me start out by saying, again, I did not become vegan to lose weight. It had nothing to do with that. And it had such a much deeper, more significant meaning for me. Just to backtrack, back in like maybe 2009, I came down with a rare virus similar to what is going on now. It affected my breathing and it came fast. So it was like one day I was okay, the next day I was not okay. It is more than likely a strand of what is going on now. Again, but this happened a long time ago. So I was going to the doctor. They didn't know what was wrong with me. They said, okay, you have asthma. Here's an inhaler. You know, it'll get better. Take these breathing treatments. They were just doing everything asthma related because they assumed that that's why I couldn't breathe. Long story short, there was a younger African-American doctor who actually took the time to look at my medical records. He's like, you've never had a history of asthma. Yeah, it could come later in life, but he's like, I just feel like there's something else there. He's like, if this continues for 2 more days or so, call me, make another appointment. If I am booked, go to ER. So basically it kept proceeding, it kept going on. I went 3 days not sleeping at all because I felt like if I went to sleep, I was going to die. My mom was like, that's it, you're going to emergency. So my mom took me to emergency. They ran all these tests. They didn't know what was wrong with me. They pulled up my notes from my primary care doctor. They're like, okay, you just had a physical. None of this was wrong with you, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, like what's going on? So they brought in a team of doctors, infectious disease doctors. They ran all these tests, determined that I had this rare virus that was attacking my body. Essentially, it was shutting down my organs. It was attacking my heart, attacking my lungs. It was changing the shape of my heart. It was mimicking like 5 different heart conditions all at once. And at the rate that I was going to slip into a coma and I was going to die. So luckily I caught my symptoms really early. They were able to do similar treatment to what they're doing now with the current pandemic. They flew in antibodies, infused them. I had several transfusions of plasma from people who had fought off the virus in the past, and eventually things started reversing for me. My heart function, the average human's heart functions anywhere between 50 to 78%. That is the normal range. Mine was as low as 17% at the time that they located the virus. After getting through that, being released out of the hospital, of course, I was on a stream of medications that could cover from here to Milwaukee. And I had to take those at a very young age. And then slowly but surely, I was able to build up my endurance. I was able to work out. I was able to strengthen my heart and get it very close to what would be considered the normal range. Doctors are like, oh my God, you are a miracle. This is great. We can't believe this happened to you, but you came through it. But I had a lot of restrictions on my life, being that if I even went to the dentist to get my teeth cleaned, I had to tell the dentist, wait, you cannot clean my teeth. You have to contact my cardiologist. You have to ask him, can you clean my teeth? Because the virus was so finicky and they knew so little about it, they felt that anything could aggravate it. So if they released bacteria in my mouth and I swallowed it and it went anywhere and mixed in with that virus, they were worried that it would aggravate it, irritate it. They didn't know. So everything I did had to go through my cardiologist. The video that I filmed comes out Sunday. And I am literally sitting outside of the dentist's office right now. I got an emergency appointment because I had a pain on the left left side of my mouth, and like I said in the video, or at least I hope to say in the video, it is like urgent when anything is wrong with my mouth, because something is linked with the heart and the mouth. I never really understood it, but it's a direct correlation between the two, and it's like pretty serious. So whenever something is wrong with my mouth, I get emergency appointments, and I got one today, and I went in, and they're like, oh, you cracked your wisdom tooth, and they're like, we have to pull it. But they're like, oh, but the irony, guys, that I am, so I actually have to wait for to be cleared to have my mouth worked on, and I have like a pre-med prescription that I have to take because they don't want any bacteria or any chemicals. I don't know, for some reason I have to take medicine before they can actually work on my mouth. I have to take it an hour before, no matter what. But yeah, I have to wait for clearance. So I mean, it just goes to show, like, even though like I am 10 times better now, like as soon as they open up my chart and they see all that, they're like, no. So like all these people who think like, oh, I got coronavirus and I'm okay, and you know, I coughed a little bit but I survived. It's like, no, that stuff is gonna follow you. It's gonna follow you everywhere. Like when people see that, I mean, it's literally. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. That the irony was that I filmed that video and I specifically spoke about how one of the downsides was needing to be cleared for every single thing that happens to me, and this is one. I have a pain in my mouth that is shooting up the side of my face, but they're like, no. So hopefully I get that cleared soon, and I don't have to actually go to the doctor and get seen first to get cleared for it. But yeah, something as simple as being able to get a teeth cleaning. I couldn't get my teeth cleaned. The only thing they could do is take an x-ray. That's the only thing they're cleared to do, is take an x-ray. So I experienced that for a very long time. It's just something that I got used to, but I was happy that I was finally in a place where doctors were like, you're good. Like, oh my gosh, you're good. You're so much better. You're a miracle child. So I'm like, okay, I can deal with the fact that I have to take all these pills probably for the rest of my life. I can deal with the fact that I have to do things a little bit more carefully, whatever. I lived, right? And let me just say that it took a lot of hard work to get to that point. It took a lot. So people who have their health, understand, do not take it for granted, because what happened to me had nothing to do with my weight and everything to do with me contracting an airborne virus that my body's composition was not able to fight. As a result, I maintained having a weak immune system, which I still technically have to this day. I have a weak immune system as a result of the attack of that virus. So as the years progressed, I mean, I was flourishing. It was always present in the back of my mind. I was very finicky about touching things. I've always been like a wash my hands. I became a bit of a germaphobe as a result of catching that virus, as most of us are going to be now because of the current pandemic. So let's go to about 2000, I want to say 18, where I referred in my last story time that I had an injury that resulted in me being in the hospital. Keep in mind, for the virus that I got, I was in the hospital for 8 days, and I was taken off work for 3 months. No, 5 months. 5 months I was off work, and I was in the hospital for 8 days before I was able to go back to normal operations. So several years later, let's say 2018, I'm pretty sure it was 2018, I used to park under a tree at work. I was getting into my vehicle, and I felt a pinch to my leg, swatted my leg, saw that there was a spider. I said, oh no, I've been bit by a spider. I have arachnophobia. I was completely disgusted. My main thing was get home, shower. So I got home, I showered, everything was lovely, everything was fine. It didn't itch, it just kind of felt warm and hot and it hurt. So I just kind of babied it. I was putting like a hot compress on it. Where I went wrong is that I put Benadryl on it thinking like, okay, it's going to start to itch. Doctors are now telling me that that's probably where I went wrong. I put the Benadryl on. I went to sleep. I woke up the next day. I was fine. Went to work. I was fine. Suddenly, bam, I was just sweating profusely, but I was cold. I was freezing, and I was just like this at my desk. And my manager walked by. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know. I think I'm getting sick." I'm like, "I'm so cold." And I remember he brought me a blanket, and another coworker brought me another blanket. I had like 3 blankets on me, and I was so cold. Like I was like at my desk like this. And then another coworker of mine, she came back from lunch, and she brought me some orange juice. She's like, "I saw you from across the room and you look so pale. You look so sick. Like I thought maybe this orange juice would help." And I was like, okay. I took 2 sips of the orange juice and I was ready to throw up. I ran to the bathroom. I was like, oh my gosh. And when I stood up, that's when I realized like I was so weak that I was going to pass out. So I told my boss, I was like, I gotta go. I think I'm getting the flu or something. So I went home and I called my mom. I said, you know what? I don't feel good. I feel really sick. I'm gonna go to the doctor. So I came home, I showered, I got in the bed, and when I went to sit down, it hurt really bad on the back of my leg. I touched it, and like the size of a golf ball was where the spider bite had been from the day before. It was just the day before, and it was hard as a rock. So I immediately called my doctor. I luckily, and a lot of people don't have this benefit. I have a PPO, which means I don't have to be referred. I don't have to get permission. I can just go. So I called my doctor. I'm like, hey, I got bit by a spider. I don't have time to see you. I don't have time for a referral. Who do you guys use for lancing, surgeries, and stuff like that? So he gave me the name of the surgeon. I called the surgeon. I said, hey, I have a weak immune system. I have this virus that I had a few years ago. I'm medically challenged. I need this to not go far because it can end badly for me. So of course they squeezed me in because of my past medical conditions, and he brought me into the office. Well, no, I'm skipping. So I'm driving, and again, I'm trying to condense this as much as I can. I'm driving, and I live in the canyon. So when I come out, it's like, it's a cliff, and I was literally driving and my tires were hitting the knockers like I was about to drive off the cliff. I was so out of it. And I remember I was like, okay, Amber, you're sleepy. That's what I was telling myself, you're sleepy. Not realizing that I hadn't eaten in like 3 days, well, 2 days at that point. So I got to the doctor, finally made it there. I remember I could barely get out the car, I could barely walk. Soon as I walked in, they paged the doctor, like, you need to see her. When I walked in, he was like, let me see. He pulls it off. By this time, it's about this big. It's literally hard to where you can knock on it. He goes to cut it open, and he's like, I cannot believe this. He said, you have to go to the hospital right now. He said, not only has this spider bite completely infected, it wasn't necessarily that it was infected. He said that it has killed all the surrounding tissue on your leg. It is going into your bloodstream. That's why you feel like this. Your blood is now being infected with the same infection from the spider bite. And if we do not drain it, if we do not remove all this tissue, you are going to start to have all of your organs to fail. I'm like, what? So they're like, how did you get here? I'm like, I drove. They're like, what? You drove? You drove like this? And I remember they were just like running around frantic. They're like, they called my mom on me. My mom worked in downtown LA, and I was like in Torrance. They're nowhere near each other, especially not during the lunch rush. They're like, we called your mom, she's on her way. I'm like, oh my gosh, is it really that serious? Can't I just drive around the corner to the hospital? They're like, no. So my mom comes and she's like, you did not tell me it was this bad. I'm like, I didn't know it was this bad. So I don't remember anything from my mom walking in looking beautiful like an angel. I just remember I looked up at her and I was like, oh my gosh, you were so beautiful. Like, why are you so gorgeous? And I maybe even said that to her, but I don't know why it just hit me like I had never seen my mom before. But I was just like, dang girl, you look good. But anyway, so my mom took me to the hospital because I refused the ambulance. So when I got to the hospital, my doctor that was at the other center came over. He's like, hey, we're gonna go ahead and admit you. I'm like, admit me? I'm thinking this is gonna be an outpatient procedure. He's like, no, we have to admit you. We have to do surgery in the morning. Like, you have to go under general anesthesia. We're going to be removing a significant amount of tissue from your leg. We're gonna have a plastic surgeon there. They're gonna, you know, piece together what they can. I'm like, what in the world is going on? So I pass out. I don't remember anything other than that. I remember waking up and I remember being told that I was going to be in the hospital for 11 days because although they got all of the tissue, although they were able to drain it, they are unable to close the wound because they want to make sure that every single bit of what was there is out. So essentially I had to leave my leg open, okay? And I'm not trying to be graphic, but that's the severity of the bite. I had to leave my leg open. And they were like, you know, your organs are not functioning the way they should be or the way they were before. We don't know if it's an effect of the anesthesia. We don't know if it's an effect of the infection to your bloodstream, but we're monitoring you. So my heart started to fail. I guess it was like, girl, we barely out the woods and you do this? So my heart started to fail, my kidneys started to fail, organ after organ was just like tapping out on me. And they were like, you know, giving me all these antibiotics, giving me all these drugs to try to flush everything out. And I don't know if you guys know Lafayette from True Blood. We were literally in the hospital at the exact same time, both with blood infections. We were both equally doing the same. And the day that I got released from the hospital is the day that he died. They could not control his infection. They finally got a hold of mine. So that just goes to show you, like, you can look at someone, he clearly looks healthier than me. He's smaller than me, he's more physically fit. But that just goes to show you that it's not necessarily the outside that determines your health. There are lots of factors that determines whether or not if someone's healthy. So I say that to say, like, don't come checking for other people about what they doing based off what they look like, and make sure your ducks is in a row and your stuff is together, okay? It's very important that you are doing what's right for your body. So when I got out of the hospital, they were like, you cannot go home. Your options are you have to go to a convalescent home or you have to live with a family member. Of course, my mom was like, she's coming with me. So I moved in with my mom, and I had to have a nurse come twice a day, along with my mom also had to be my nurse. They trained my mom in how to care for my leg and how to care for me, how to give me my medicines. I had been sent home with a walker because I could not walk because, again, my leg was open. So I was determined to never use that walker. I was like, I'm going to beat these odds. I'm going to get myself back together. So, long story short, 3 months at my mom's in convalescent. So I figured I would video this in case I wanted to look back at it. But today is Sunday, July the 9th. I got out of the hospital on the 2nd, which was a Sunday. So we had that whole full week of the 4th, and then now this is the weekend after the 4th, and we're going into a whole nother week. So I have not been to work since like June 26th or something like that. It's pretty much a really clean wound. No odor, scent, or anything like that. It is extremely sore though because it's so big and open and it's constantly being like shoved with gauze and stuff. I'm pretty weak. I don't know why. I don't know what that's about. Yeah. that'll be interesting. At least be able to sit on it for an extended amount of time. That's when I know I can go back to work. So right now, there's no way I could sit on this for 8 hours. No way. Very far from that point. Probably like another two weeks before I could do that. Yeah, so I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this video, but I thought I would record it anyways. And my stomach is like really swollen because my kidneys failed. So now my stomach is getting smaller and my skin is getting trying to get clear, but like my body is in full recovery mode from, what's the Ruta? Is this the Ruta? My feet are the Judah? I don't know, but full recovery mode happening here. Lots of water and just yeah. After the 3 months, I was able to move back home. I was able to also go back to work, but I still had a nurse that came every night when I got off work to look at my leg. So all in total, I had a nurse for about 6 months. So here I am out living my best life, and I'm like, ooh, gotta go, nurse is coming. Like, that was my life for 6 months. So my sister is very health conscious. She works out. She has a personal trainer. And I had been kind of going back and forth with myself. Like, I felt like my body was toxic. I had all that medicine. I had all those pills. I had the spider bite stuff. I had the virus from a few years ago. I felt like my body was so toxic and it just needed to be clean. And I bought a book to do juicing and all this other kind of stuff, but I felt like that was just surface. That wasn't going to be deep enough. And I was like, God, send me a sign. What am I supposed to do? My body is a temple. Like, what do I do to get it back to being a temple? And I thought about going vegan, but I was like, that's kind of extreme. With all the medicine I take, would I even be able to go vegan? And I was like, God, send me a sign. And literally my sister called me within like 10 minutes and she was like, hey, so I was telling my trainer about you, and she didn't tell her trainer that I was overweight, okay? And I think that's important. She just told her everything that had happened to me, and she said her trainer was like, she needs to go vegan. She needs to go vegan for at least 6 months. She was like, the same thing happened to me. Doctors didn't know what was wrong with me. They didn't know how to help me. I was in and out of the hospital, in and out of doctor's office. I went vegan. I reset my body. I was good. So I'm like, it's no coincidence that I was already considering this, and then my sister came to me with this. So I was like, okay, this is a sign. My sister's now saying it. I've thought about it. Let me double check with my doctors. So I went to my primary care doctor. I said, I know how doctors typically feel about somebody going vegan. These are my reasons. I've done my research. And my doctor was like, I'm vegan. He's like, I think it's an amazing idea. He's like, you've already done the research. Excuse me. You've already done the research. You know what you need to do. Like, go for it. We'll run some labs in a few months, see how it's going. I'm like, okay. Go to my cardiologist. I'm like, hey, you know, I want to go vegan. I know that I'm going to need vitamin B12. I know that I'm going to need iron. I run through all the list of him. I'm like, how do you feel about me taking these supplements? And he's like, I take those supplements. Go for it. He was like, I'm happy that you are taking charge. So my doctor signed off on this, okay? They signed off on this. I had 6 doctors. So since everybody signed off on it, I wanted to make sure that I did it correctly. So I did sign up for a meal delivery service where they cooked my food for the week and delivered it to me. It made it easy. I didn't have to try to figure out if I was getting all my nutrients. And then slowly, after using that for a while, I developed my own recipes from the stuff I got from there, from watching a couple of videos on YouTube, and just moved into making, like I said, 95% of all my meals, incorporating old recipes that I had prior to being vegan, and it was kind of smooth sailing. You know, I had moments where I missed it, but I felt so much better. I felt so much better until one day I just felt really weak. Again, like I could pass out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I went to the doctor. He ran on my blood work. He's like, I have good news and I have bad news. What do you want first? I'm like, give me the bad news. He's like, bad news is being vegan is working for you and you're probably gonna have to stay vegan. He said, good news is the reason why you were feeling weak is because you no longer need half of the medications that you were taking. All of your levels are good. So I will insert a clip of all of the medications that I was able to get off of just from being vegan like 3 months. All of my vitals were good. All of my numbers were good. Everything was literally reversed. I felt better than I had ever felt in years. My skin just like flourished. My hair flourished. I mean, there was no downside. Like it was like, and then I was dropping weight, of course, because I was eating healthier. I wasn't eating like processed vegan food. I was eating like actual, you know, fruits, vegetables, things of that nature. No Beyond Burgers or Carl's Jr. and stuff like that. I just was really careful about what I was eating in the beginning stages also. So yeah, the results that came back with all of my numbers good were prior to me losing weight. It didn't happen instantly. When I first became vegan, it was just more so it was definitely just to cleanse my body. And my body reacted to that first. And then later on down the line, probably like maybe 6 months after being vegan, I started slowly seeing pounds trickle off, but it wasn't like no 10 pounds per week or nothing like that. It was just like a slow decline. You know, the way your body should lose weight. You gain weight over time. You have to lose it over time. So, that is why I went vegan, because I wanted to kind of shock my body, reset it, cleanse it from all the trauma that it had. And as a result, my body reacted so well to being vegan that it was just undeniable by my doctors that veganism ultimately reversed a lot of problems that I would have had down the line. People can say what they want to say about going vegan. Everybody has their opinion, but I know for me and for my body, it works miracles. No matter how good a piece of meat may look, no matter how good a piece of bacon may smell, none of it is worth me leaving this planet sooner than what I should be. I take my health very seriously, and it's a constant battle. It's a constant struggle, and it's something that I plan to do in the foreseeable future. I don't see me ever not being a vegan. Not again just because, but just because I've never in my life felt this amazing. My body just it embraces the lifestyle. It does, honestly. And I don't get headaches. I used to get headaches pretty often. It's very rare that I get a headache. Let's see, what else? I mean, I kind of forget all the benefits now because I've been vegan so long, but my skin doesn't break out as much. My skin is not as dry. Dandruff even gets better. If you have dandruff or like psoriasis, all of that gets better with veganism. My eyesight, I did not mention that. My eyesight has never been really bad. It's always been like a -1, you know, outside of 2020. I had one of the lowest prescriptions you can have. After going vegan, my eyesight was like flourishing. I don't know if it was all the vegetables, all the carrots, whatever the case may be, but my eyesight definitely got better. I dropped a full prescription down. So I was a -2 and I dropped down to a -1, which is basically like you don't need glasses to drive and all that other kind of stuff. It's basically when you need reading glasses, it's usually like 0.5 or -1. Other benefits, Just more energy, more vibrant, better moods. I sleep better. I don't have as many aches and pains. My bones don't have as many aches and pains. Gosh, I could go on and on and on and on. Okay, I could go on and on and on, but the proof is in the pudding. You know, everybody's body is different, but my body severely reacted to veganism. So that is why I stayed beyond the 6 months. That's why we're hitting the 2-year mark. And I am still vegan. I'm very proud to be vegan. I'm very proud of myself as someone who's been overweight the majority of their life to adapt the most strictest diet I can and to have that much willpower. I love it. I love the fact that I have that much control over what goes into my body. Something I have never had before. It's an amazing feeling to be like, nope, not eating that. Nope, not eating that. And really just to not be eating it. Like it sounds simple, but it's really hard. Especially when you grow up in a culture where there's meat in the greens. Everything that is vegan is unveganized in the culture that I grow up in. Your beans have meat in it. Your vegetables are soaked in chicken broth. Your vegetables have butter on them. Everything that was made to be vegan is non-vegan in my culture. So to have to, you know, deviate from all of that and adopt this entirely new lifestyle, it was difficult, but it was well worth the benefits. So that's all that I have for you. I hope this video was not too long, but I did want to kind of go into, you know, the deeper meaning behind it and, you know, the benefits that I see for myself. If you guys have any questions below, make sure to comment them. And that is all I have for you guys. I love you. I mean it. Bye. Sorry I had to slick my edges, y'all, but it's so hot and my hair is so curly that literally they would have just been like little suns. So we're just gonna let it all hang out.